When a dying woman is saying her final words, Trump calls her, and what she does next will make you cry. Come closer, all of you. I want to see you one last time. Martha opened her eyes slightly. A cloud of sadness filled the room, the kind only deep love could carry. Each of them struggled to face this heartbreaking moment. As she looked at their sorrowful faces, she could feel her time slipping away. Clara held her mother's hands tightly, her eyes red from crying all night. With a whisper, her trembling voice said, "Mama, I'm here." One by one, Martha's grandchildren, son-in-law, and daughter-in-law gathered around her bed. She looked at each face, each beloved expression she had memorized and cherished over the years. With her daughter Clara's hand still tightly in hers, she turned to her family and spoke slowly, her words carrying both weight and love. "I don't want you to cry for me now," she began softly. "Each and every one of you has given me more joy than any mother or grandmother could wish for. I am grateful, but I want you to smile when you think of me, okay?" The black woman's grandchildren huddled together, trying to grasp the seriousness of the moment. 7-year-old Amelia clutched a worn teddy bear against her chest, its fur ragged from years of affection. "Mom, is Grandma going to die?" she asked. All eyes turned to her. "No, baby, don't say that. Grandma will be okay very soon," Clara reassured her daughter. She looked up at her mother, torn between the painful reality of losing her and the desperate wish for her to stay. Martha sighed. "Well, you know she's right. My time is up. You need to let me go." She coughed lightly. "I have lived my life, and now it's time for you to live yours." She turned to her son. "You too, David." David, Clara's younger brother, tried to remain strong, but his trembling lips betrayed his fear. They looked at each other, finding comfort in their shared grief. Martha's breathing became slow and deliberate. Each exhale a whisper of comfort, each inhale a gentle reminder of the life still within her. Every now and then, she would open her eyes and look calmly at the faces of her loved ones. A faint smile on her lips, barely above a whisper, she murmured, "I think it's time. I love you all so much. I hope you know that." A wave of emotions, love, grief, nostalgia, filled the room. Family members reminisced about cherished moments, sharing laughter and tears as they remembered Martha's unwavering spirit, her fiery love, and the countless lessons she had taught them. Every memory was a thread in the tapestry of their family's history. Suddenly, Clara's phone buzzed loudly, shattering the solemn quiet. Everyone flinched. She looked down, momentarily confused. A private number. The screen continued to vibrate. Insistently, David, still teary-eyed, glanced at the phone. His voice was filled with emotion. Who would call from a private number right now? Clara hesitated. Something about the constant buzzing unsettled her, an inexplicable feeling she couldn't shake, but she wasn't sure what to do. The phone kept buzzing, creating a tense atmosphere in the room. "I don't know," she murmured, glancing at her family before turning back to her mother. Although Martha's eyes were half closed, and her chest rose and fell with effort, she had always been perceptive, almost intuitive. Perhaps she would know. The phone buzzed again. The unexpected sound seemed to stir something in Martha, whose eyes flickered open. Slowly, she turned her head toward Clara. After a long, heavy silence, Martha struggled to say 3 words. "Pick it up." Uncertain if she had heard correctly, Clara hesitated. But when she saw her mother's insistence, she slowly answered the call. Her throat felt tight. Taking a deep breath, she glanced at her family, who were all watching her with puzzled expressions. She raised the phone to her ear and almost hesitantly tapped the screen. "Hello?" she whispered. Silence. Then, after a moment, A voice Clara had heard before broke through. "This is Donald Trump." Clara nearly dropped the phone, her jaw hanging open in shock. "What?" she whispered so softly that no one else could hear. Her heart pounded in disbelief. She tightened her grip on the phone, her palm shaking. Then, the voice became more urgent and clear. "It's Donald Trump. I've been trying to get in touch with Martha Johnson. Is she there?" Clara felt as if she had been thrown into a surreal dream. She remained frozen, the entire scene around her suddenly feeling unreal. She felt her family's eyes on her, waiting for an explanation, their gazes mirroring the confusion on her face. Her breath quickened, but no words came out. "Clara, what is it?" Sensing something had changed, David asked in a worried tone. Slowly, lowering the phone, Clara's palm trembled as she tried to process what she had just heard. The moment felt heavier than ever. Her chest rose and fell as she looked at her family. Her lips moved, but as she spoke, the words felt unnatural and out of reach. "I think it's Donald Trump," she said in a raspy, almost whispery voice. Everyone stared at Clara as if she had spoken in a foreign language. "You think Donald Trump? No way!" David's expression wrinkled in perplexity. Clara nodded, unsure of what to do, her heart pounding. She stumbled. He's on the line. He says he wants to speak with Mama." David shook his head, curiosity mixed with confusion, wondering why Trump would call his mother. Of all the people in the world, he paced back and forth, clenching his hands and muttering to himself. Why would he call it this time? Martha's response was obvious, though her lips barely moved. A deliberate, gradual nod. Clara knew what she had to do, and her heart sank. After wiping a tear from her face, she looked at the other family members. "Mom wants to answer the phone." Before David could say anything in protest, Martha's raspy voice broke the silence. "Put him on," she muttered, her tone filled with determination. Everyone fell silent. Her hand shaking, Clara put the phone on speaker and placed it on the table next to her mother's bed. With everyone's attention on Martha, the room fell silent, anticipating what would come next. "This is Donald Trump, Mrs. Johnson. I wanted to get in touch with you." Martha's eyes opened slightly in shock when she heard his voice. There was a fire in her eyes, a determination that had not diminished with age or illness, even though she was too frail to speak with the same vigor or sit up. The room held its breath, waiting for the next move. With astonishment hanging in the air like a fog, the family leaned in closer. However, what she did next made everyone cry. Before illness took over, Martha had lived a life full of love, purpose, and unwavering dedication. She had taught at the neighborhood elementary school for more than 40 years, and her classroom was a haven of warmth and wonder. Her soothing voice and caring presence had shaped the young minds of generations of children in her care. In addition to teaching reading and math, Martha had a gift for imparting life lessons, empathy, respect, and the importance of having big dreams. She was the kind of teacher who stayed after school to help a struggling child, who knew each student's name, and who continued receiving letters from them long after they were grown. When she received gifts from her students, she would smile, a sense of pride rising in her heart as she remembered all the little faces that had looked up at her with faith and hope. Over time, however, Martha's health began to deteriorate. Small, unnoticeable symptoms started to appear. A slight ache here, a brief period of exhaustion there. Too preoccupied to think about herself, she waved them away with a gesture of her hand. But as months stretched into a year, her once limitless vitality began to fade. Those who knew her saw that the once invincible Woman was now moving more slowly and laughing less frequently. As her health declined, Martha expressed a final wish to her family. She had secretly cherished a desire to meet Donald Trump, even though she had never mentioned it before. She admired his ability to lead and inspire others to make her dream come true. Her family wrote letters and contacted friends and acquaintances. They understood the value of time as her energy gradually declined each day. But time passed with no response. No matter how hard they tried, always trying to see the bright side, they would look at Clara and remark, "Maybe he's busy," when it became clear that her wish might not be fulfilled. Martha's eyes still shone with peace, but here they were, listening to Trump reaching out to her. "Hello," they heard his voice again. Martha finally spoke. Each syllable of her voice was a feeble attempt at a whisper. There was a pause, and then, with surprise and delight that no one had seen in months, Martha's eyes opened wide as she listened. The room seemed to hold its breath, and the sickly, fragile black woman who lay in that bed was temporarily transformed. Everyone's attention was captured by the glimmer of life in her eyes. It was obvious that she was talking to him, the former president. Even the faint sound of her laughter helped diffuse the tension in the room. Seeing his mother's face light up with happiness made David's eyes sting. As Martha spoke, her voice grew stronger, and her words took on a warmth that had been missing for some time. Her eyes sparkled with emotion as she answered, "What an honor!" As she listened to Trump speak, a tear trickled down her cheek, and she fell silent, though. The president could not see her. She nodded. "Thank you, sir. I shall take this blessing with me," Martha whispered. "Oh my goodness," she giggled. It really was Donald Trump. Martha's calm, appreciative grin persisted as she looked at her family.